let's begin here this morning with search crews who are still trying to locate the missing sub believed to be thousands of feet beneath the surface of the ocean. Officials expect the deep-sea craft to run out of breathable oxygen at some point today. The sub went missing during an expedition to the Titanic's wreckage on Sunday. Our Roxana Saberi has the details.
Good morning. The submersible had an estimated 96 hours worth of oxygen, which is expected to run out this morning if it hasn't already. Rescuers have turned their focus to a remote area of the North Atlantic where underwater banging noises were detected. The Coast Guard says they don't know the source of those noises, but a Canadian airplane aiding in the search detected them every 30 minutes.
We're searching where the noises are, and that's all we can do at this point.
After 2 days of detecting noises underwater, the Coast Guard said Wednesday there's still hope for the 5 people on board OceanGate's missing submersible.
This is a search and rescue mission, 100%.
But both time and oxygen are running out.
In any search and rescue case, you look at all the different factors. How long we've been searching, what the survivability is, the oxygen on board. There is more than just one piece, and right now we're focusing on the search.
More rescue vessels are joining the effort, but searching for the small Titan in the near-freezing and pitch-black conditions on the ocean floor is challenging.
If I were a family member, I would remain hopeful, but people generally do not come back from the bottom of the ocean.
Captain David Marquet was the naval commander of the submarine USS Santa Fe.
Do you find it odd that there is no method of communication that the passengers could have had?
No, I find it ominous. I find that it's a signal that crew's incapacitated.
I don't think they had a pinger or anything, though. They were just communicating by text message.
Yeah, it's a commercial organization. They're trying to be really innovative and cutting edge. On our submarines, we would have more devices, but we have a nuclear submarine that costs $2 billion. So we have the luxury of having all those kind of things.
OceanGate has faced criticism for years.
This company decided to self-certify.
Engineer Bart Kemper was part of a marine technology group that expressed concerns in 2018.
It follows no code and follows no jurisdiction.
Kemper said the company agreed to be more transparent with passengers, but continued to operate as an experimental vessel without what the group said is typical certification.
How rare is it for something like this to happen?
We have not lost a non-military submersible before. We've had failures, we've had fatalities, but we've never had this type of incident happen before.
More search vehicles have been joining the effort, including a French deep-diving robot that could help release a trapped vessel. But even if teams do find and free the Titan before time runs out, it would still be a challenge to bring it to the surface. Anne-Marie?
Roxana, thank you. So I want to bring in Art Trembanis. He's a professor of marine science and policy at the University of Delaware. And Professor, you have also actually worked with OceanGate in the past. You know some of the members on board the vessel. In what capacity did you work with the company? What was your experience like?
Yes, good morning, Anne-Marie. This is a somber day for us in the marine technology and ocean exploration community. These are friends and colleagues. 2 of the passengers, like myself, are members of the Explorers Club. Also, Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate, is a friend. We've worked with him. We hosted the Cyclops submersible on our campus in 2015 and 2016. And I was going back through emails and seeing messages during lockdown when we were thinking of ideas for new expeditions in parts of the world. These are consummate, professionals. This is not, anybody on a sort of a reckless suicide mission, and we're reminded that this is the human dimension of this, and when we're holding on to the hope that perhaps there's still some miracle that can be pulled off today.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the whole world is sort of watching this, and everyone wants there to be a positive outcome. That being said, there have been questions raised about the Titan and, whether or not it was safe and whether or not there are any sort of governing bodies that kind of keep track of this sort of kind of freelancing exploration, if you will. From what you know about the Titan, I mean, is it a safe vessel, a safe vehicle?
Well, I think certainly there are going to be lessons learned and a fullness of an investigation at some point down the road. Right now, the focus remains on the search and recovery aspect of it. This was an innovative new design utilizing carbon fiber for a hull with a titanium plug end cap. That was new and unique. It wasn't something that had been certified. That's a different approach than myself or others in the community might have taken, but it had gone through dives and things before. I was actually reminded of the sort of safety procedures that we went through on the dives we did with them. And even the smallest little thing could lead to a scrub. The weather conditions, some comms issue, or some other thing like that. I think what is most disturbing about this is how suddenly and completely the communication was lost. And I think what we're seeing is this full and complex and really unprecedented search effort, and it's amazing to see how many assets have been drawn in here so rapidly, and to see now that they have the remotely operated vehicles, the underwater robots.
Right.
Those are really the ones coming to the rescue.
Right, because they have the ability to get down sort of that deep into the ocean. So let's talk about this. At this point, it is still in the search part of the search and rescue. Should the Titan be located, though, how difficult would it be to bring it to the surface?
Tremendously. I mean, and this is unlike anything that would otherwise ever been achieved in terms of once found a kind of rescue effort. In the 70s, there was a submersible that was recovered in 500 meters of water, about 1,500 feet of water off of the coast of Ireland. We're talking here more than almost 13,000 feet here at the Titanic site. So this would be a recovery that really is unmatched, except there have been some military recoveries of planes and other wreckage. Here we're hoping that we can find a sub hopefully still intact and with some hope of recovery.
Art, you said something when you were working with the company that if there was sort of any slight thing that was going wrong, they would scrub the attempt immediately, which makes me think that they did not have forewarning that something was about to go wrong. Is that what you're kind of conclusion you're coming to as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because especially if you encounter anything early on in a dive, that's when you want to end the dive and then investigate that. The problem at these depths, where we're talking pressures of nearly 6,000 pounds per square inch, is that when something goes wrong, it goes cataclysmically wrong. And we've experienced that with even with underwater robots. Here, it's that human dimension, the fact that we have five souls on board this submersible that adds to it. And then the concerns are, if it is still intact, not only the potential of the dwindling or loss of air supply, but buildup of CO2, the incredible cold temperatures in these deep icy waters.
Well, we are all, hoping for the best out of this. Art Trembanis, thank you so much.
Thank you.